What's up, guys? Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys our first video in a while. This is the team builder for week 1 of NCL season 7 Substrika. We're taking on my good pal Austin and his Atlanta Staraptors. I have not played Austin since, I think, Mount Silver season 4? It's been a while. I definitely have not played him in NCL since season 3, so this is 4 seasons later. He ended up taking a season off in season 4, and then came back in season 5 and 6 in Blitzel, and then promoted in season 6, the last season, season 6, and is back into Zipstrika, and he's my first week opponent. So his team consists of Scissor, Kurum, Mienshao, Heliolisk, Mudsdale, Bastiodon, Mega Pidgeot, Tangrowth, Toxapex, Grimmsnarl, and Delphox. His priority users are Scissor with Bullet Punch, Mienshao with Fake Out, and Grimmsnarl with Sucker Punch. Hazard setting, he's got the Mudsdale with Rocks, Bastion with Rocks, and Toxapex with Toxic Spikes. Removal options is Scissor with Defog and Pidgeot with Defog. And then his 4x weaknesses are Scissor to Fire and Bastiodon to Fighting and Ground. If you haven't seen my team, my draft analysis of my team, I would definitely recommend go checking that out because you probably don't know exactly what I have, but it's obviously on the screen there. I talk about all the synergies and whatnot. In terms of what I'm not expecting him to bring, the only thing that stands out to me is Bastiodon. It's okay as a Mega Gardevoir check. I'm not sure how much he thinks I'm bringing Mega Gardevoir to this game. I could see a use for it. I ended up not bringing it because I decided to bring Darkrai instead, which I felt was a little bit more effective, although I could be entirely wrong on that. It's just the speed tier of Darkrai really helped out against this team compared to Mega Gardevoir's. Even though Mega Gardevoir will hit this team a lot harder, it's outsped by 4 things naturally, and all 4 of those are solid answers to kill it, as well as Scissors Bullet Punch. Excuse me. Being weak to Scissors Bullet Punch is really bad for me. So I think Bastiodon's probably the only thing that isn't expected from my end. I could see anything else coming. 100% though, I do think Scissor Kyurem and the regen core is coming of Tangrowth Toxapex. Kyurem just ass blasts my team. I don't have many good checks for it. I had to design an entire Regi set just to deal with it. And then I have a backup in Empoleon to kind of deal with it as well. But really that's more for the Pidgeot. And it's kind of a more of a Delphox answer as well in case Delphox comes. So we'll sort of see how that goes. Again, I think Scissor is definitely coming. Scissor threatens out Mega Gardevoir. It threatens out a lot of my fast bonds with Bullet Punch, right? And then it bops some of my slower walls. I could be punishing it a little bit better than I can, but I would have to sacrifice prep for other things like Mienshao in particular. So Mienshao I don't really have the best checks for, and I'm really going to hope that I can get a Toxic Orb off on Gliscor before he gets a chance to knock it off, and then all my recovery's gone, but that's kind of what I'm hoping for there. If I had to guess, I would say probably the first 3, Scissor, Kyurem, Mienshao, and then Mega Pidgeot, Tangrowth, Toxapex are his 6. But again, I think Grimmsnarl has a great matchup against me. I think Heliolisk is a solid bring. It's not the best bring in the world here, but it's a solid bring nonetheless. And Mudsdale, while it's not a great bring overall, it's a really solid Dracozolt answer, which does exist in Tangrowth, but besides Tangrowth is non-existent elsewhere. So if he's really terrified of Dracozolt, then he will bring Mudsdale. Now, knowing Austin, and I've known him for a while, and I've helped him build teams for years, he's going to bring standard stuff. Like, I'm 95% sure that Scissor is going to be banded and Kyurem is going to be Specs. And the 5% is because it's draft, and he could really do whatever he wants, but I do think those have the best matchup against me, and Austin's the kind of player, especially because he's used Kyurem and Scissor so much, that he'll look at a team and he'll be like, I need to use a choice item on these, and that's the only option for me. So, first up on my side, Vikavolt, I'm bringing Webs, Thunderbolt, Bug Buzz, Roost. This is pretty key for me. I don't have anything that can outspeed. Like, I'm really threatened by Kyurem, so I'm going to try and set up Webs to slow down the Kyurem and go from there. Slowing down Kyurem, Mienshao, really good for me. Slowing down Helios, also good for me. Same with Delphox, opens up some holes for Darkrai, especially if it is Scarf Kyurem rather than Specs. I don't really expect Boots. it could very well be boots, but I think that he would want the power output, so I don't expect boots. If it is boots, then it's really bad because my whole strategy kind of relies around webs being up against his team. Thunderbolt plus Bug Buzz just beats his regen core of 10 growth Toxpex, and it beats pretty much the entire team. You know, I wish I could afford to run Energy Ball here, but I need the Roost for longevity against things. You know, I can sort of sit in front of Grimmsnarl for a while and just keep clicking attacks against it. If it's a bulk up rest set, then I'm in for a world of hurt, but besides that, the Vikavolt will be able to dent that quickly with Bug Buzz. I would more expect screens. I think screens Kyurem would be a little bit better for him, just so that Kyurem can't die, but he could bring something else. I'm running a lot of speed on this Vikavolt, and it's meant to outspeed no speed Scissor. So I should be able to get the jump on that and be able to T-bolt it before it can get any hit off of me. Again, he's not really the kind of person to speed creep like that. I don't think that he would be speed creeping my Chestnut with his Scissor. I think he would just run max HP, max attack, and go from there. And then I decided to put some HP investment in this as well as special attack. So I just hit 371 as a marker for special attack, and then I dumped the rest in HP. Regice is my Kyurem check. No boots, because I'm kind of the opinion that he's not going to bring rocks. Like, if I don't think Bastion's coming, that's one of his rockers gone, and if I'm not really sure that Mudsteel's coming, there's another one gone, so I don't really think rocks are all that necessary in this matchup for him. I mean, I think they're good against me, but I don't think that he's got the ability to bring them very well, because he didn't draft good rockers. Excuse me. So, Spidef, Regice should be able to handle Kyurem. I definitely break subs with Ice Beam, and I don't believe Kyurem gets Amnesia or any way to boost Spidef, outside of like running manual terrain with a seed, or running one of those pinch berries to give Spidef. Or I think there's actually one, because I know Key Berry gives you defense boost. I'm not sure what would give you Spidef. I'm not sure what berry that would be, but either way, I think the Regice can handle it after that. And so obviously, Resto Chesto gives me a lot of longevity. Excuse me. And this threatens it a lot. It sort of brings in the Scissor every single time, I'd imagine. So I can get some big hits off with Thunderbolt, and I can always double into something else if need be, so that it can't get U-turn momentum as well. And that's all the idea of the Regice. Empoleon, this is my Pidgeot check, and it can be a secondary Kyurem check if I need it to be. That's why I have Flash Cannon on here. Flash Cannon, Scald, Roar, and Defog. So Defog just in case he does have rocks, I need to get them away, and my webs aren't going to be useful anymore, something like that. Because my game plan is getting up webs as soon as I possibly can. I'm not necessarily planning on leading Vikavolt. I think I'm going to lead Cinderace. But if I can get up webs, it really depends actually, because he might lead Tangrowth or Toxpex, but I would imagine that leading Scissor is going to be his better play. And I think he'll predict me to lead Gliscor or Vikavolt or Empoleon. So yeah, anyways, I'm fully Spidef. This tank Hurricanes from the Pidgeot, and then I'm Chop Berry if I need to eat a hit from Mienshao and Scald it, or if I need to eat a hit from Scissor late game and roar it out or something, or Scald Burn it. You know, the only thing I can touch my Empoleon with really is Superpower, outside of Knockoff, of course, so Chople Berry sort of covers that as well, and then Torrent for boosting my Scalds later. Again, this is a good Delphox check too. Delphox doesn't really get any coverage to hit this. Its best move is Grass Knot to hit me, outside of just running Fire Blast, which would be much better for him. Gliscor, I'm running a fully physically defensive Gliscor with a little bit of speed just to creep over no speed Kyurem, so just writing that for myself, because apparently I lost my notes. Cinderace outspeeds something else. I believe it outspeeds Helio, and Darkrai outspeeds Pidgeot. I must have forgotten to write my speed notes, so apologies there. Rocks, Fire Fang, Roost, and Facade. So Fire Fang is there for the Scissor. I thought about running Earthquake, but Earthquake gets shut down by a lot of this team, and I didn't want to be Gliscor mono-walled by Pidgeot with Mono Earthquake. I was very much considering Mono Earthquake. Excuse me. So, Facade does a lot for me here. Just as a neutral hit against things like Pidgeot. And honestly, everything that isn't named Scissor or Bastiodon, because there's no Ghost on this team. So, the normal resists are one Mon that I don't think is coming, and a Scissor, which I have Fire Fang for. So, Facade should be able to hit everything else on the team pretty well. And then Roost, obviously, for my own recovery, and Rocks, because I think Rocks are going to be useful, especially, Pidgeot can't run Boots, so it could be Boots Delphox, of course, but Rocks chip against regen Mons. Certainly useful in the late game, just to nerf their regen a little bit. If I had the ability to run Chestnut in this game, then I would run Chestnut in this game. Oh my god. A little bit of a splice there. Sorry about that. My dad came in with, whatchamacallit? Banana bread. Okay, anyways, where was I? Cinderace is next. Zen Headbutt, Flare Blitz, U-Turn, and High Jump Kick. Running enough speed to outrun the Heliolisk. I am Scarfed. Libero changes my type based on the move that I'm using, but I'm choosing to be Scarfed here so that I can pressure the regen core still, but I can also outspeed Kyurem if I don't have webs up. I thought it was pretty important that if I don't have webs up, I can naturally outspeed the Kyurem with something. As well as just having another backup check to outspeeding Pidgeot, I thought was relatively useful, and outspeeding potential Scarf Heliolisk and Scarf Mienshao. So I just think that Cinderace needs to be locked into Scarf this week, unfortunately. I don't really screw around with missing moves, and unfortunately Cinderace is known for 90% accurate moves, but there's no chance that I'm running Pyro Ball when I can run Flare Blitz. Especially in this matchup where it's key that I have to eliminate Scissor. So I'm not going to run Pyro Ball when I have to kill the Scissor. I'm not going to be locking myself into High Jump Kick against the Scissor, right? Like I'd be clicking Flare Blitz. So that's kind of how I feel about that. Zen Headbutt is there primarily and only for the Toxapex. High Jump Kick is there to hit the Kyurem if I need to a little bit harder. And then Flare Blitz just demolishes things. U-Turn will be able to get me out on things. And that's why I think I'm going to lead Cinderace, is just to lead it and get a U-turn off. It might give away that I'm Scarfed, so I'm sort of going to evaluate what I want to lead with as we get into the game, but that's sort of the plan. A little bit of HP and a little bit of defense, but mainly just because I needed to move it into defense. Originally I was heavy-duty boots, and this looked a lot better on paper when I could switch up moves, but I really needed to the Scarfer, and I didn't want to make Darkrai Scarf because I think that switching up moves with Darkrai is more valuable than switching up moves with Cinderace this match, which is really backwards because I'm Libero Cinderace. But either way, Locker Combo, Darkrai is last. Unfortunately, it's not shiny this week because I have Spatial Rend, and I can't be shiny with Spatial Rend, so I have to be regular, but it's normally going to be shiny. I also have nightmares about forgetting my locker combination in high school, even though I'm 24 now, and I have no reason to be scared about that. Been out of high school for 6 years, but yeah. Either way, I'm just running 4 attacks Expert Belt. I really wanted to be Nasty Plot, but I really feel like I'm going to need Ice Beam to break this Tangrowth, as well as hit the Pidgeot super effectively. Because if I'm not able to hit the Pidgeot super effectively and I have to rely on Dark Pulse, I don't want to deal with that. I just want to be able to get rid of the Pidgeot and move on with my life. So instead of running Nasty Plot, we're running Ice Beam. Could be a massive choke. It could be absolutely horrific for me, because I do think that Nasty Plot is a fantastic set here. I have to imagine it's going to be like AV Mienshao or AV Tangrowth, and that's kind of why I wanted Nasty Plot, but I didn't have room for Ice Beam and Psychic and Nasty Plot, so instead I'm running Spatial Rend to hit the Kyurem, because I just need to get rid of this Kyurem. So I'm prepping so hard for this Kyurem, and hopefully it does something for me. Sludge Bomb is there for the Grimmsnarl, and Dark Pulse just hits the rest of the team. The Dark Resist for the Grimmsnarl and the Mienshao, and so if I can... I've got coverage for the Grimmsnarl. I don't have coverage for the Mienshao because I thought the coverage for the Pidgeot would be better. But if I were to run Psychic, then Grimmsnarl would be immune to 2 of my coverage moves. Pardon me, and I don't like that. So I am outspeeding Pidgeot with this max special attack, a little bit of bulk on there, and that is the Darkrai. In terms of what I'm not bringing, Chestnut is up first. Yeah, Chestnut's really pressured by Pidgeot, and Kyurem, it does not have a good matchup here, in my opinion, pretty much at all, unless I was like Scarf Spikes Chestnut, which is something to keep in the back of my mind. Golurk, again, another Mon threatened by Kyurem. Like I don't want Mon threatened by Kyurem here, right? Golurk's not terrible, but it's not great either in the sense that it can't really beat Tangrowth plus Hawk specs. I really like Golurk, and I hyped it up a lot as I drafted it, but I think we're going to find that I'm not going to be bringing it to that many games just because I need a defensive core, and my offense is really good on this team, so I think Golurk's going to be relegated to probably coming only in matchups where Ghosts absolutely destroy someone, and this is definitely one of those where it could be a Ghost absolutely destroying him, but because the Heliolisk is weak to ground, and that's is normal, but I don't think this one is the play. It relies too heavily on me being able to break Tangrowth with Golurk, and I don't think that's reliable enough. Mega Gardevoir, another mon. I talked about it at the beginning, I think. You know, it breaks Toxapex, it breaks Grimmsnarl, it breaks Mienshao, breaks Kyurem, etc., etc. I get coverage for the Scissor, so it's not like it's that big of a problem if it were to switch in. The biggest problem that I have with Gardevoir here is that I just felt the Darkrai was better, and again, I might regret this wholeheartedly. I might regret this, and Gardevoir might have been the better bring here, but instead I'm bringing Darkrai, and so that's just how we're going to roll with it. Dracozolt, pretty much awful. You know, I'd want to run just like Bolt Beak and spam it all day against this team, but Tangrowth plus Mudsdale really stops that in its tracks, and even Assault Vest Tangrowth can tank two Bolt Beaks with Max HP, even after switching in, so I don't really think that's the best case for me. And then Venomoth. Venomoth could have been cool, actually. I don't know why I was against Venomoth in this one. I think maybe because Toxapex is a really good hazer, and Grimmsnarl just sets up screens against me, and I can do nothing. That might be the only reason why. Or dealing with Pidgeot. Like, there's a lot that threatens Venomoth. I can't really set up on a lot, and there's usually matchups where Venomoth can kind of just set up on a lot and go from there. So, anyways, that's it for the team builder. I didn't want to splice this, but I'm gonna have to splice this, and yeah, hopefully future takes are not like that. But there you go. That's it for me, and I'll catch you guys for the match.